On October 14, 2025, the United States Supreme Court delivered a decision that will reshape the balance of power in Washington and the American economy. This ruling is expected to have far-reaching implications, not just for the current administration, but for future presidencies as well. In a landmark ruling, the court struck down the global tariffs imposed by former President Donald Trump. These tariffs had been a cornerstone of Trump's economic policy, aimed at protecting American industries but criticized for escalating trade wars. This isn't just about taxes on imports, it's about the limits of presidential authority. The decision underscores the importance of checks and balances in the U.S. government, reminding us that no single branch should wield excessive power. The decision makes clear only Congress can enact sweeping economic policies like tariffs. This reaffirms the legislative branch's role in shaping the nation's economic landscape. For months, businesses and consumers have paid higher prices due to these tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods. The financial strain has been felt across various sectors, from manufacturing to retail. The court's move dismantles a core piece of Trump's economic legacy and raises big questions about executive power. It challenges the extent to which a president can unilaterally impose economic measures without congressional approval. Legal, scholars, and politicians will study this moment for years, but for Americans, the impact is immediate. The ruling has already sparked debates in academic circles and political arenas. Prices on imported goods could drop, providing some relief to consumers who have been grappling with higher costs, and companies may be owed billions in refunds. This could lead to a significant financial windfall for businesses that have been burdened by these tariffs. The ruling sets off a complex process of unwinding the tariffs, with major financial and political consequences. The logistics of reversing these tariffs will require careful planning and coordination. This case tested the court's conservative majority and its stance on presidential power. The justices had to balance their interpretations of the Constitution with the practical implications of their decision. By drawing a line, the justices reaffirmed that Congress, not the White House, controls the nation's purse strings. This decision reinforces the principle that economic policies should be debated and decided by elected representatives. The effects of the decision will ripple through households, businesses, and the very nature of the presidency. It marks a pivotal moment in the ongoing dialogue about the separation of powers in the United States. To understand today's news, let's break down tariffs. A tariff is a tax on goods brought into the country from abroad. For example, if a U.S. company imports shoes, the government can add a tariff, making those shoes more expensive. The goal? To make foreign products costlier, encouraging Americans to buy domestic goods. Tariffs can help local industries, but often mean higher prices for consumers. Companies usually pass the extra cost to shoppers, so your electronics or clothes might get pricier. Tariffs are also used as leverage in trade disputes, sometimes sparking trade wars. While they can protect jobs, they risk raising costs for everyone. It's a powerful but risky tool that affects the global economy. That's why today's Supreme Court decision matters for every American. Donald Trump made tariffs central to his America First agenda. He argued that countries like China and the EU used unfair trade practices, hurting U.S. factories and workers. To fight back, Trump imposed sweeping tariffs, up to 50%, on most imports starting in April 2000. Descom. Mikaixo. Foreign goods pricier, boost American manufacturing, and bring jobs home. Trump relied on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, claiming unfair trade was a national emergency. Legal experts quickly questioned this broad use of emergency powers. The tariffs divided American businesses. Some industries cheered, but many faced soaring costs. Farmers feared retaliation from other countries, threatening their exports. The debate raged: were tariffs a shield for American jobs, or a reckless move that hurt the economy? The legal fight was inevitable. The stage was set for a constitutional showdown. Before the case ever reached the Supreme Court, a federal appeals court made a bold and consequential move that would reverberate throughout the legal and political landscape. A coalition of businesses, deeply concerned about the economic impact, challenged President Trump's authority, arguing that he had overstepped his constitutional role by imposing sweeping tariffs without congressional approval. On August 29, 2025, after months of heated arguments and national attention, the appeals court delivered a landmark 7-4 decision against the tariffs, declaring them an illegal and unprecedented use of presidential power. The court's majority opinion found that the 1977 law, which the administration cited, did not grant the president the sweeping authority to create new taxes or tariffs on his own initiative. Instead, the Constitution is clear: only Congress has the power to tax and regulate trade, not the president acting alone, no matter the circumstances. This ruling dealt a major blow to Trump's policy agenda and sent a strong message about the importance of the separation of powers, reinforcing the checks and balances at the heart of American democracy. Yet, despite the court's decision, the tariffs remained in effect for the time being, as the legal process continued and the Supreme Court prepared to weigh in. The Trump administration quickly appealed the ruling, seeking a fast-track decision from the nation's highest court, determined to defend its use of executive power. At the heart of the case was a fundamental question: can a president unilaterally reshape the nation's trade policy by invoking emergency powers, or does that authority rest solely with Congress? With billions of dollars in tariffs at stake and a defining piece of Trump's legacy hanging in the balance, the outcome would have far-reaching consequences for the economy and the presidency itself. The legal battle now moved to the Supreme Court, where the justices would have the final say on this historic clash between branches of government. The stakes couldn't be higher, as the nation awaited a decision that could redefine the limits of presidential power for generations to come. The Supreme Court upheld the lower court's decision, ruling Trump overstepped his authority. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that the power to tax, including tariffs, belongs to Congress, not the president. The court emphasized emergency powers can't be used to create sweeping long-term economic policies. Allowing otherwise would give the president unchecked control over the economy, something the Constitution forbids. Emergency powers are for immediate threats, not for rewriting trade policy. If a president wants broad tariffs, Congress must pass a law. Even with a conservative majority, the court prioritized constitutional limits over politics. The ruling is a powerful reminder. Presidential power has boundaries, and the courts enforce them. The separation of powers remains at the heart of American democracy. The Supreme Court's decision will send shockwaves through the economy, affecting everything from Wall Street to Main Street. The ruling is more than just a legal milestone, it's a turning point that will ripple through every sector. Companies that paid billions in tariffs may now seek refunds, creating a bureaucratic scramble as businesses and government agencies sort through years of transactions. This could mean a flood of paperwork and legal challenges as firms try to reclaim lost profits. For consumers, the end of tariffs could mean lower prices on imported goods, though changes won't happen overnight. It may take months for price drops to reach store shelves, but eventually, everyday items like clothing, electronics, and appliances could become more affordable. Businesses relying on imports, like automakers and retailers, will benefit from lower costs, potentially passing savings on to customers and boosting their own bottom lines. But industries the tariffs protected, like steel and aluminum, now face renewed foreign competition and possible job losses. Workers in these sectors may worry about layoffs or plant closures as cheaper imports return to the market. The ruling reshuffles winners and losers across the business landscape, forcing companies to rethink strategies and adapt to a new reality. Internationally, the decision could ease tensions with trading partners and reduce retaliatory tariffs, opening doors for smoother negotiations and more stable global markets. American exporters, especially farmers, may find it easier to sell abroad as foreign markets become more accessible and demand for U.S. goods potentially rises. The economic landscape is shifting, and every American will feel the effects, whether through their job, their business, or the prices they pay at the store. The process of unwinding the tariffs will be messy, involving complex logistics and new regulations, but the long-term impact could be lower prices and improved global trade relations. The story is just beginning, and the full impact will unfold in the months and years ahead. Donald Trump blasted the Supreme Court's decision, calling it a betrayal of American workers. He claimed the ruling would destroy U.S. jobs and accused the justices, even his own appointees, of weakness. Trump's response taps into his base's belief that the system is rigged against them. He'll use this decision to rally supporters, framing himself as the only defender of American workers. For Republicans, the ruling creates a dilemma: back Trump or respect the court's constitutional stance. Democrats see the decision as a victory for the rule of law and a rebuke of Trump's trade policies. The fallout will shape both parties' strategies heading into future elections. This case is now a defining flashpoint in the debate over presidential power and economic policy. This decision isn't just about tariffs, it's about the presidency itself. The court has set a clear limit. Presidents can't use emergency powers to bypass Congress on major economic issues. Future presidents will need Congress to enact sweeping trade policies. This ruling forces more cooperation between the branches, as the founders intended. The decision is part of a broader trend. The court is reigning in executive power across several high-profile cases. Congress is being reminded to assert its constitutional authority. The long-term effect could be a more balanced government, with power more evenly shared. Lawmakers may become more active in defending their role. The precedent set here will shape how future presidents approach economic crises. The balance of power in Washington is shifting. The Supreme Court has spoken, but the story isn't over. The immediate challenge: managing the refund chaos and watching how prices and industries adjust. Politically, Congress and the president must navigate a new landscape with stricter limits on executive action. The debate over economic nationalism versus free trade will intensify in upcoming elections. The court's legacy is on the line as it tackles more divisive issues this term. This decision forces the nation to confront fundamental questions about government power. The Constitution's rules still matter and shape our daily lives. How leaders and citizens respond will determine the country's direction for years to come. The next chapter in America's economic and political story is just beginning.